What up? What up? What up, y'all? We back. Wholesale
Yo,
Hard Knock
yo.
episode 9. Got my big brother Kes on purpose, man. I'm super excited for this one. Y'all don't even know what's in store. Like I know we Wholesale Hard Knocks, but we got a guy who Keston doesn't even wholesale, but he is one of the best wholesalers I know. Like this guy does everything great. We got so much in store for y'all. I'm super excited. Mike Keston, what's going on? How y'all doing?
Man,
What's
I'm
up,
blessed.
y'all? Mike, Daryl, bro, thank you for having me, man. Super excited to be here. Ready to have fun, jump into things. And it's funny you said that I don't wholesale, but I'm good at wholesaling. It's so true. I never even thought about it that way.
Bro, it's facts, bro. It's facts, man.
That's
yo,
funny.
go
Bro,
ahead.
so Keston, right? We have this thing called, for anybody that doesn't know, Marlon runs the Mindset Morning Coffee, right?
Yep.
And every time Keston has something to say, it's always something where you just are like, well, now I got to go change my life. Now I got to go rewire my brain. Because, bro, the advice that you give out and just your outlook on life is different, bro. And it helps a lot of people.
Appreciate it.
So I'm excited to get our listeners to see
Bro,
what Keston's all about.
it's real, bro. Like I was thinking about this earlier. I'm like, there's not many people that when they talk and they tell me stuff, I just listen. Just shut up and listen. And Keston is one of them. Like when he's talking to me, I am mentally taking notes and I'm gonna implement everything this guy tells me. Like, bro, my alarm was just going off for uh influential, happy, and successful. It just went off and I was thinking about
10
it.
o'clock.
Right. So exactly. So, bro,
Wait, what is that?
we
Ooh, you trying to
yeah,
get some of the sauce.
just trying
Come
to
on, dog. Why are you holding out?
So I was on a call with Keston last week, and he asked me what are 3 words that I want to be known as. I want to be described as when somebody thinks of me, right? And I told him influential, happy, and successful, right? So he
That's
told
fine.
me, yeah, make an alarm every day. Sorry if I'm giving out the sauce, bro.
Dude, it's all
My
good.
bad.
I was gonna give
But
it anyway. So
all
you're good.
I love
right.
that.
So he told me make an alarm, set it on my phone for every day at 10 o'clock. And when that alarm goes off, think to yourself, how can I be that person? What do I need to do to be that person? Right. And already it's been working. Like when I'm sitting here and I'm just like, nah, I don't want to do that. Then this alarm just goes off, right? And it's like, okay, I need to get right because
Yep.
influential.
So question, when it just happened right now, what were you thinking?
Oh no, I was on point today. I was on point today.
But what went on in your mind when you just saw the alarm come up?
I just asked myself a question: Am I doing something that is going to make me influential, happy, and successful?
What
Right?
was the
And
answer?
yes, I am, because this podcast is about to freaking change people's lives.
Let's
Come
go.
on. Come on.
Let's get into it, bro.
Let's
Keston,
get it.
explain to the people who don't know, and if you don't know, you might be living under a damn rock, but what Keston's all about, who you are, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, man. So thank you guys again for having me. And so I'm an island boy. I'm an island boy from Trinidad. Now living here in the US. And when I came over here, man, and there's so much to tell about my life in Trinidad, but we're just gonna come here to now. And coming over here and living that 9 to 5 life, that going to work employee life, being able to another Monday morning going to work and just really getting that feeling, right? You go in and you're with your managers, your coworkers, and you're in this conference room. I remember being in this conference room, dude, and just thinking to myself, man, there just has to be more to life than sitting down in here and hearing the same crap over and over and over again, right? But then on the other side, you got this other voice saying, yeah, but you got a wife and kids, homie. You know what I mean? Like, what about the insurance? What about the security that all of your responsibilities need? And man, those thoughts had me feeling trapped for years. I felt trapped. There wasn't much that I could do because I didn't know how to do it. And so another year passed. You set new goals, right? Every year comes, you set these fictitious goals that nothing happens. But the thoughts are still there. And then COVID happened, which was like a saving grace, because at that point in time, I had just started to do real estate, and coworkers around me was dropping like flies because the world had shut down, right? The world shut down, and they were firing people, but they were also giving out severance packages. And so for me, in trying to understand like what I was going to do next, I ended up saying I was going to take a severance package. But I started to think about how much I sucked as an employee. The reason why I sucked is because as an employee, we only think about things that we have to do. You only do as much work as you have to. You don't do more than you have to as an employee. And here I am wanting to become a business owner and realizing that I suck at my job right now. And so hired a coach, started to get into this whole high performance mindset thing, started to time block, all of these different things. And I remember my boss before I left saying, dude, what the hell happened? Because now I started to understand how to time block. I started to understand how to manage my time. I was getting up at 4 a.m. and just really starting to implement new habits right before I left. And I'm coming up on my 2-year anniversary of leaving my 9-to-5 job in July. And so then I left, and we moved to Georgia to take care of my wife's mom originally. And God had this crazy plan that he was just going to help us blow up, and started wholesaling, man. I left my 6-figure 9-to-5 job without doing one deal. I just burned the boats and took the severance package, started wholesaling that year in 2020. We went from doing no deals to I think we did like 13 deals that the rest of the remaining year in 2020. Really wanted to learn how to do creative financing. And I was getting these opportunities where I knew how to talk to sellers for wholesaling, but they kept dropping through my hands for creative financing, man. And that's when came up on sub 2. I'm like, oh, this dude, I'm sure I'll be able to learn how to close sellers if I join this sub 2 mentorship. Join sub 2. And we went from one rental. I think we closed out 2021 with like 21 rentals or something like that, all creative deals, while still wholesaling in between. But because I like wholesaling, I love creative finance more. I don't really think about the wholesaling part of it. And moving on in 2022, I mean, now we own over $6 million in real estate. And
let's go, man.
So that journey has been a pretty awesome one where just really implementing those habits that I learned and applying it and getting the mindset right to continue moving on. So that's a little bit about who I am and where I am right now.
God, that's interesting, bro. So it's like you set yourself up in your 9-to-5 to exit the correct way.
Yes, absolutely. And dude, it wasn't even only in my 9-to-5. At that point in time, my wife, she had just got into an accident, and we were driving my father's 1997 Lexus. And I started taking care of it like it was a Bentley. I started to do everything the way how I started to see it. I'm like, I have to prepare for who I want to be and not who I am today. Right. And everything in my life started to get the same level of energy, the same level of passion for me to be able to copy and paste the same habits everywhere. And so that's essentially what I did. I just copied and pasted the habits in every area of my life where I was just performing on a much higher level. And so, yeah, that's essentially what I did, bro, to get my exit, because you don't know what you don't know.
That's real, bro. How you do anything is how you do everything, right?
Exactly.
We had spoke a while ago about the same thing, and I think I was telling you like it's pretty hard for me to just like stop everything like that, right? And your advice to me was just do it one at a time, right? Take one at a time. If you're start with like making your bed, right?
Hmm.
Make your bed every day. If you do that for a week straight, then add something else on, right? Then make
Yep.
sure there's no dishes in your sink, right? Then make sure you put your shoes in the right spot, right? And that, man, life changing, bro. Life
Yeah,
changing.
it's man, because you start making these promises to yourself, where you start keeping these promises. And when you start keeping promises to yourself, you start building confidence.
Yeah,
And confidence is everything that you need to do anything in life, absolutely anything. And so walking in confidence and saying, okay, all I got to do is copy and paste the same habits that I got from doing making up my bed. I said I was going to do it, and I'm just going to do it. Oh, I want to be a real estate investor. I said I was going to do it, and I'm just going to do it. I got to figure out what I need to do it. And so you copy and paste the same habits that you start compiling. Now you need education, right? You don't just do it. You need the education, but you continue on. And building that confidence within is what really gets you to elevate and take on more and say, man, I could do this. I did this. Why not this? You know? And so, yeah, bro, that's a major key thing right there for sure.
So, bro, you like it sounds like you have some sort of formula that you can abide by to go do anything you want.
1000%.
Let's hear it.
So, I mean, it starts off with clarity, right? Having a clarity, and I love using the GPS as the analogy, because I think everyone in life right now that has any type of a smartphone could use a GPS, right? And so if you think about how a GPS works, it doesn't work without a connection. You need to have some type of connection to AT&T, to Verizon, to something, right? And what I translate that connection to is your connection to your higher power. For me, it's God, right? And so having that connection with God gives me the ability to hear what to do next. And so now, once you have that connection, the second thing you need is clarity. Okay, my current location. Where are you? Your GPS is no good if it doesn't know where you are today.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you find out this clarity as to, man, I'm dealing with childhood trauma. My beliefs about money is this or that. Just understanding where you are currently would help you be able to go forward. And most people don't like dealing with this because it brings up things for them that they had hidden in the closet for like 20 years, right? It's like, oh man, somebody touched me when I was young. I don't want to think about that. Why do I have to open that door? Right? And so dealing with that, because think about it, bro. If you're at work, you want to go home, but your GPS has you as your current location being the gym, giving you directions to go home, would you be able to get home? Absolutely not, because it's going to give you turn by turn instructions from your job and not from where you're currently at.
Right.
So you need to have that current location dealt with. Where are you today? And key tip right here, a lot of people keep trying to be in somebody else's current location And it's like, oh, Daryl is doing that. I'm going to do that too. But that's not where you at, homie. So that's why when people start doing real estate, they get into all of these things. And then they're midway through. It's like, man, this is hard. I want to quit. Yeah, you want to quit because that's not for you. You're starting from somebody else's current location, not your own.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next thing is purpose. Where's your destination? Where are you going? It's impossible for a GPS to work if you don't have a destination. And so when you understand, you have that clarity as to where you're going, it's easy. It's one of those things that a lot of us are going through life without really understanding. Man, where am I going? Why am I going there? And another tip right here in purpose is that when you deal with your current location and you understand the things that you've been through and you've gone through, it ends up turning out that your destination is connected, because if you were abused, if you were an alcoholic, if you were these things, your destination typically is related to where you came from, because now you want to go back and help those people. And you never find your purpose because you didn't take the time to understand why and where you are, so that when you get to the other side, you help more people like you get to a place too. And so having that destination, and this is why it's all connected and it's somewhat of a formula, right? Because when you have this formula, you could copy and paste this anywhere. It still goes back to, hey, God, what should I do next? Hey, okay, I'm here right now and I want to go there. Help me get there. And so the fourth point is faith. Because when the GPS tells you to turn right, you know going to work is a left. You've been doing it for the last 20 years of your life. I'm going to go left. But Waze or Google, whatever Maps tells you to go right this one day. And it's like, man, I'm not doing that. I'm going to go left because that's what I'm used to doing. But then you end up in traffic. You end up spending hours there. So when the GPS says, hey, Keston, it's time to leave your job. And I'm like, hell nah, I'm feeling too secure. I'm comfortable here. And you don't move. Then you're stuck there for years and years of your life. And when I left my job, I had no idea what I was going to do. I'm like, man, I knew I wanted to do real estate. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I had faith in my GPS because I was connected. I was taking the action. I was still learning. I was getting the knowledge. But when my GPS told me to turn right, I turned right. When it tell me to turn left, I turned left. It wasn't always that way, but this is where I got to. And the interesting thing about it is we don't want to pay the price, because if the GPS says, hey, go over the bridge, there's a toll there, pay the price, right? There's a toll there, but the destination, the distance to get there is 0.5 miles. Some of us is like, oh man, I don't want to pay a toll. Let me go drive 20 miles to get to the same destination because we didn't want to pay the price. But then on this 20-mile journey, we got a flat tire, we got a baby, we got all these different things that wasn't supposed to happen. And the GPS never leaves us, right? It never says, man, Mike, you didn't listen to me. I'm going to turn off right now. It never leaves you. It always stays with you and gives you another, let me help you, Mike. Let me reroute you. It's the same way. God never leaves you. He's always going to help you out, but he gave you the shorter direction to go to. You weren't obedient, right? I didn't want to pay the price. And so many people just don't do that check-in like, hey, I'm going to pay the price today. For me, paying the price was leaving New York. I left my son. I left my parents. I left everything that I knew to serve my wife in coming here to take care of her mom, I had to pay a major price, one that emotionally got to me. I'm like, man, but that's what the GPS said. So I paid the price.
So can you talk about that conversation? What that conversation with the GPS sounded like?
So staying connected, right? Let's go back to the first part, the connection.
Mm-hmm.
Every day at 4:00, I get up and I do my devotions. And how I read the Bible is that I don't move on. I'll read a scripture, and if I don't understand what I'm reading, I'm not moving on. So I could be reading the same scripture for months. If I don't understand it, I'm not moving on. If I don't get revelation on one verse, I'm not moving on. Because when we have conversations, the reason why I'm always so deep is because I want to have a level of different understanding. I don't want to hear just what the pastors tell me. I'm done with that, right? I want to have understanding for myself. And one day, after months of reading, I had a revelation on a scripture, and I moved on. And it was the same time I was asking God, man, I hear you telling me that you want me to move from New York. But if this is you, you got to come down and tell me as if you're right in front of me. Like, because this ain't no joke. Like, it's not a joke move, right? And as soon as I had that prayer, in that devotion, I had understanding and I moved on. And the next scripture, and I should know the scripture I should know it by heart, but I don't. But the scripture said, anyone who leaves their parents, their family, their kids, and serve me will reap some abundant reward or something, bro. I dropped crying.
Holy crap, bro.
Dude, like literally, I woke my wife up in tears.
Holy shit.
Legit tears, dude. And I'm like, we gotta move. She's like, you tripping. Like, I'm not gonna have you leave your son at. I'm like, this ain't up to you. We gotta go. Like, this is what God said. And here we are. And it's just from that level of obedience. And that's why for me it always starts with that connection. Because when it comes to those huge decisions, I'm not going to put Keston ego and my ambition, and because I'm a go kind of guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But leave your 6-figure job, your family, your son. I lived 5 minutes away from my son. Now I'm thousands of miles away, bro. Like, dude, it was difficult. And I remember sitting down with him, just having the conversation of daddy's leaving and why and all that. And we were both on the stairs crying, man. Like, it was tough. It was like, I'm getting emotional right now, but it was tough, man. But I had to pay the price, because if that's what the GPS says, that's what I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? Regardless of the price, because I want to go over the bridge, pay the toll. And so now, $6 million later, going from having one rental to 50 something units, and as a team over 125 million, over $5 million, it's like, I'm copy and pasting the habits, but it's only God, bro, that could put me in a position, because I paid the price up front. And so when people look at me and they're like, dude, what are you doing? Like, how are you doing this? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just moving. But I paid the toll in serving my wife. And now this is where things are at. And it's not an absence of effort, because I still show up every day. I put in the work, I do the work. But, you know, as that scripture said, anyone who pays the price leaves their home essentially to go out and do and serve me. I got you. And that word hasn't left.
Bro, that's so deep, bro. Yo, so if you could talk to somebody who's just like just completely lost, right? They have no clue what their purpose is. How do you show somebody how to find their purpose? Like, because I feel like you can just tell yourself like this is what I want to do, this is where I want to go. But if
Yeah.
that's not for you, right? If that's not what God has intended for you, like how do you know that that's what it really is?
And I'm glad you asked because this is one of the questions that a lot of people reach out, right? Because I'm like, bro, you're cast on purpose. Could you help me find my
Right.
purpose?
Exactly.
You know, and so I've already given the steps, honestly, because when you understand where you are and you get your own clarity as to who you are, where you are, what you want to do, like if everyone was to think right now, anyone at the sound of my voice, and I was to ask you, what makes you happy? It's gonna force you to think about that. And 85% of the people that's listening right now can't answer that question.
It's real.
Mm-hmm.
What makes you happy? Because we're taught to say, wake up with gratitude, have gratitude. Yeah, gratitude is cool. And you should have gratitude, but what makes you happy? And the reason why that's such an important question is because it gets you to introspect as to who you are. What do you actually like? What is my identity? What does Keston do for fun? What if everything else went crazy? What would I do? And that was a process that I had to go through after getting a divorce before, and really understanding, like, man, the hell, like, who am I? You know what I mean? And so I went to Egypt for like 3 weeks, like just on this quest of, dude, who are you? You know, like I remember going to Texas. I did a lot of like soul searching, reading books. I read this book, Be Happy for No Reason, like none at all, right? And so just understanding who you are goes a long way, because the magic in that is when you know it, anything that upsets you, you know how to reset you, regardless of if you lose a loved one, if you crap is going on at work, things aren't so good. It's almost like having an EpiPen for your happiness. Things are going crazy, and now it's just like, oh, let me, I'm good, right? Let me just go get to this place of happiness from within, right? When your happiness is tied to an object or a thing or a person, when this person leaves, then what? When this person dies, your happiness dies. When your kids leave, oh man, my kids is my happiness. Yeah, that's awesome. So is mine. But when he grows up and leaves, what's next? And that's why you have the empty nester syndrome, right? Where when people become empty nesters, they're lost. They don't know what to do, because their happiness is within their kids. And I'm not saying don't have happiness in your kids, please do, but also understand how to have happiness from within. And when you're able to have that happiness and you understand you, typically you're able to find the root of your purpose somewhere in there, because you are able to help people come through the things that you've been able to come through. And so it really just comes down to being asked questions to trigger these thoughts, to get you to introspect and get it. Because the answer lies right within you. It's just that we're such an autopilot that we don't even think about, man, I don't even know. Crap. You know, and that's the thing, man. Go date yourself. Do like practical steps. Go on dates with yourself. Go understand who you are. Sit with yourself without your phone. I used to go buy steaks, like $300 meals by myself, just to please me. That makes
Yeah,
me
that's fire.
again.
That's
What?
fire. I'm doing that.
I'm glad you brought that up too, because I remember in the beginning of the year, you went on like a week without no phone. You just really disconnected from everybody, other than I'm assuming you and your wife and your parents, right, and your son, right.
Yep.
You just disconnected from everybody, and I'm thinking about when I move out west. I'm thinking about doing something like that, like the first weekend I get out there. What during that time, because that seemed like that was a really pivotal moment in your life.
Oh yeah.
Like so during that time, what what changed? What changed you during that time?
So during that time, it was prayer and fasting, right? It was prayer. I fasted for 7 days because when you put your body and your mind through things where you get past your comfort, your mind starts to think and rely on your source, right? It's not reliant on the things that makes you comfortable. And during that time, the level of clarity from my connection was on another level. And so just really downloading, well, what's next, dude? Literally like, I don't know what to do next. What do you want me to do this year? Where do you need me to go? Do I go left? Do I go right? Help me to understand the type of husband you need me to be. Like, just map all these things out and just read, learn, understand. Like that's where I believe going slower helps you go faster.
Yeah,
Because when you have a level of clarity as to where you need to go, then it's okay to be a hamster on a wheel going in the right direction. Now you don't need to think. Now you know what to say no to. And so for me, I got a level of clarity as to where I needed to go, how I needed to live my life. And that really helped me to get into this go-giver spirit, that like this help more people and give more in value than I receive. And like that's where all of this was really downloaded into me. And it was uncomfortable because I'm like, how do you get paid doing this, dude? You know what I mean? But again, you just let it go and you follow the directions. And so that's what I did to be able to that's what that time is for me. And because that time was so pivotal, I fast every Sunday, because one of the things that I write down every day is that I want to hear the Holy Spirit more clearly. And so every Sunday I fast because I want to put my body through that same thing to hear and get guidance for the upcoming week. And so, and I still work out on that day. I go run. So I get rid of my energy to get there faster mentally. So like it's like, let me empty my tank. Let me get there so that I can start receiving. And on that day is when I plan my
Mm.
week and all that type of stuff. So
Keston, you listen to Sadhguru at all?
who is that?
He's a guru, dude. He does a lot of meditation stuff. But along the lines of what you're talking about, I listened to his book this morning. He was talking about when you're in this bliss state, you don't even have to eat because it's
Yeah.
not important. Because he was talking about there's 5 different sort of programs that the human has. And the 3 everybody knows. There's the physical, there's the mental, and then there's the energy. Right? That's what we can kind of
Mm-hmm.
see. But then there's 2 others that get you into the cosmos. And it's more so like soul, and the last one was bliss.
Mm-hmm.
Could you touch on the last 2 if you have an understanding of maybe I can explain a little bit more, but it sounds like you would have an understanding of it.
So I could do my best to explain what I know for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, your soul on a very understandable level, it's your subconscious. It's your subconscious mind, where it's what's able to, it's what you react to, right? And so if naturally somebody does something and the first thing that comes out of your soul is, yo, what the F, right? Like that's a reflex. And if you wanted to change that tomorrow, it probably wouldn't happen. And so so a lot of people, they're like, oh, sorry, man, my bad, my bad. It's because they haven't reprogrammed that, right? And so being able to tap in, when you get to that place and getting rid of, like, going into fasting and all of that, you connect much faster with your soul, because your body, your mind, your emotions gets out the way, because it tries to force you back into, what are you doing? Like, make me comfortable. But making way to get all the way under. I wish I had a diagram, because there's like a diagram that shows like where your body, your soul, and all of that kind of connects. And it's just a subconscious level of being able to tap in and rewrite the things that's been embedded. Think about it as your computer programming, your operating system, right? If it's like your operating system, being able to rewrite or overwrite your operating system, that could take some time, right? And so for us, tapping into your soul being is no easy task, because that's how we've been programmed since we were kids. And go into that, I call my soul my venom, right? My venom mind. And to any Marvel, or is it Marvel or DC? I think it's Marvel. People who's seen Venom, that voice, that inner voice that talks to you, whether it's your Holy Spirit, helps you to rewrite your soul. And so the reason why I stay on my rituals is because I want to rewrite that soul being, that deeper being. And I feel like I'm confusing the hell out of people, but it's
It's actually crazy, because what you're saying is exactly what he was saying in the book, and you don't even know who the heck I was talking about. So you did have an understanding. That's so dope.
Yeah,
bro. You're one person that you it seems like you make your own time, right? Like you're very intentional about your time, and a lot of people know that, right? Like me personally, I try not to text you at certain times, because I know you're not even going to look at it, right? Can you talk about how important that is to be super intentional about your time?
yeah, man. Time blocking is the one thing that made me realize how bad of an employee I was.
Yeah.
Because I'm glad you asked. I actually printed this out today. Hold on. Um, if we were to, and I have mine that's filled out right there in the back, but this is my model week, right? And my model week is, it goes from every day. My day starts at 4, as you can see here, and it ends at 10. By 10 o'clock, I'm in bed,
Hmm.
right? And if you try to fill this out intentionally every day, you would realize how much time you waste.
Yeah.
You would see like, oh crap, what do I actually do from 12 to 1? Like, what do I really do from 10 to 11? And we all talk about, man, I ain't got no time. I ain't got no time, and you try to do this exercise, you would realize how much of a BSer you really are. And I have become better. I wouldn't say great. I've become better of not leaving any space on this. And it comes to, and I have a time to return text to people. I have a time to be able to respond to social media messages. And do I step into things from time to time? Yes, absolutely. But I have a model week that I know if I'm able to do these things and just shift gears, I am going to be moving my ultimate goal, right? Because you start with the bigger plan. You start with your 5-year, 20-year plan, and you start reverse engineering, breaking it down to a weekly / daily model that now your clarity is so on point. You know exactly where you're going. Your GPS, you have your destination in. And you believe to your best of your ability that these are the turn-by-turn directions to get to where you need to get to, right? And you block it out. So you know what to say no to. When somebody calls you in your focus time for wholesale, calling sellers, man, my mom is calling right now. I'm a text her. She knows if she wants to get me, she got to call me 3 times. That's the rule. 3 times it's important. You call me once, I'm not answering. I'm going to probably text you and say, hey, I'll call you later. But when you set these times up, it's important that you communicate with your family as to what you're doing so that nobody is offended. Because when I started doing this and my wife would try to come and have a conversation with me when I'm talking to sellers, I'm like, I'm talking to sellers in my focus time. What are you doing? You know, and we would get into arguments because she would feel like talking to sellers was more important than her. And so what I had to now do is communicate, hey, babe, so between these times, this is my focus time where I really want to get ground in. Here is where our time is. And so in my model week, I also have intentional time for my wife and I to catch up, to talk, to watch TV, have fun. Whatever that intentional time is, let's plan it out, what we want to do, and do it. So today we have intentional time. We're going on a date later today, right? And so we know when we're going to spend time with each other. So me saying, hey, babe, could I call you back? I'm in this time. It's understood. Okay, babe, no problem. Cool, I'll talk to you later. It's the only person I answer for, no, regardless of what I'm doing, right? And I could be in the middle of talking to a seller trying to lock up a deal, and I'll be like, hey, hold on. And I'm going to let my wife talk for like 2-3 minutes. I'll be like, hey, babe, I'm talking to a seller. You mind if I call you, bro? Like,
I've witnessed it. I've witnessed him on the phone with the seller. Tell the seller, hey, 1 second, my wife's calling me. Put the seller on mute, on hold, and talk to his wife. Just let her talk. Hey, babe, I'm on the phone with the seller, and then get back on the phone with the seller.
Yo, that's amazing. Well, my girl's probably watching this now. I got to start doing that.
It's where priorities are, and when you let people know what's important to you, they start respecting it. And to anyone that's listening that is drawn or pulled by money and, oh man, it's a buyer calling, let me get this deal. Like when I'm on date night and a buyer calls me, I'm not answering. Some people may feel like, oh, you're stupid. Cool. This is how I run my house, right? But here's the thing. When I call that buyer back and be like, hey man, I was on date night with my wife, what's up? Instant report is built. Instant. Because now they're like, oh shoot, dude, I wish I was doing that. How old are you? Yeah, man, I'm 36, dude. Oh my God. And we're talking about marriage and stuff for like the next 10-15 minutes. And trust is built automatically. Next time they call, they're talking about their kids. Guaranteed. Because I've shown them what's important to me. Making a couple $1,000s is secondary to my wife. Secondary. And it doesn't matter. But that's a muscle I had to build. Let me not be fake, right? We got into several arguments with me saying, how you want me to provide for the family? Blah, 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 blah. We're hustling. Like, I was that guy. Until I started to realize that she felt second to, let me rephrase that I was putting her second to the business. That's not the role. It's just not the order. And so how I started to train myself again, build confidence to copy and paste to get to whatever you want to do. I started having lunch with my phone upside down. I would see sellers and buyers calling me, and man, like a crackhead, I'm like, oh God. And I didn't answer. It was uncomfortable, but I didn't answer. And that's how I built the strength for it to now be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna call them back. It's cool. And not feel any way about it now. Right. But for me, this is how I learn. This is how I build my strength is start with the little things that you could control. That's easier. And start building your way up, just like the bed, just like the dishes, just like all of that. Build your way up in mental strength to start doing the harder task. And then you control money. You're the energy. You control that. And I walk in authority with that right now. And so I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, that's good, bro. Yeah, actually, with the seller too, it probably builds credibility with the seller. Like, yo, hold on, I don't need your deal right now. My wife's more important.
Exactly. Dude, I have recurring sellers. Because again, my technique, and this goes to clarity, right? I wasn't like everybody else when I got into wholesaling that I was just on this hamster wheel. I had extreme purpose in what I was doing. I knew I needed cash flow. And again, I understood that where I was at, I had a employee mindset. Employees like security. What in real estate gives you security? Cash flow. So as soon as I got out, I started to work towards cash flow. What gives you cash flow? Rental properties. Who has rental properties? Landlords, tired landlords. Who's able to give you a creative deal faster because they have rental properties? Tired landlords with more than 4 or 5 properties. These are my filters that I started filtering in PropStream, and those were the only people I was targeting. Because when I started to buy from one and we built rapport and they got paid 3 months, I'm calling them like, hey man, how you doing? You getting paid? Awesome. And I would be on the phone with them shooting the crap all the time. And then it's like, man, you thinking about selling another one? Oh yeah, because now we have credibility. And so, dude, I have accumulated most of my rentals from maybe like 4 or 5 sellers.
Sheesh. That's awesome.
Because I thought I didn't work as hard. I worked smarter. I worked slower. I took time to do a market analysis to know exactly where I was going to go. And I trust the process because I thought about it. I knew where I was going and I was able to do it fast because I trust the process. I built the credibility. I had a game plan and I executed. And so you start buying from a tired landlord that has a portfolio, man, they would sell you everything. And so that's how I scaled up fast from my same. And now those sellers are my private money lenders. That's just throwing money at me like, oh, shoot, here's 70 grand. Here's 80 grand, not tied to a property, mind you.
Wow, bro.
Because we have rapport. They understand my family. Sellers want me to come and stay by them when I go in their part of the state. Literally invited me and Jazz to go stay by them.
It's awesome.
That's great.
Yo, I think one of the reasons why I look up to you so much and respect you so much is because you just tell it as it is, right? Like I remember, I always tell this story because it was big for me, right? Like one time in the VO, I was on the phone with the seller, and Keston, he hit me up. He was there, like the virtual office. You guys don't know the virtual office. Shout out to Keston. He started it. We were all making calls in there. I bring my team in there now. Like we give each other feedback, right? And I was on a call with the seller one time, and we got off the phone, and Keston's just like, "Yo, you're a douchebag." I'm like, I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, bro, that conversation, you were being a douchebag. That was selfish, right? And you had told me that like you had you used to be like that yourself, right? You told me that you were pretty much worse, right? So how did you pull yourself out of? Because I still have some times where like I've changed. I feel like I've changed a lot, but I still have some times where I'm like the old me, right? I have my old thoughts come in, and how do you just eliminate that altogether and just completely change it all?
You don't. You don't. It's a work in progress.
Yeah,
And what I've done and how I've been able to do it is it goes back to the formula. Understand
yeah,
who you are. It's like, man, I'm a crappy person.
yeah,
Like just accept it and say, all right, here's where I am, but here's where I wanted to go, where I want to go.
yeah,
And the clarity thing that we did with you, where you have your 3 words, I did with myself. This is what changed me, because I my 4 words are that I say to myself every day is I'm a servant leader, I'm knowledgeable, I'm blunt, and I'm respectable. And so I say these 4 words with the intention of who I want to be. And so what that did was made me study what a servant leader really was. I had no idea what it was. And so I started to study and understand Jesus Christ. He's the ultimate servant leader, right? I started to study mentors, people that just gave and start to really check in and see, all right, how could I apply this to my life? It's like having a new lens on, right? And so that helped me to stop with a lot of the old ways. If I'm responding in a certain way, I'm like, man, that wasn't very servant leader like. You know what I mean? And so you start having inventory because you wake up with this intention every day to be a servant leader, but you responded to somebody like a douchebag, and it's like, oh man, all right, next time I'm a do better. And so you start. I coach myself, right? I have the ability to coach myself. Like, dude, that wasn't good. You got to do better than that, and talk myself through things. And so that's ultimately just that intention of who I want to be and holding it to the forefront of my mind, and always give myself grace if I fall short. Um, like I think recently I came in the after hours in the morning mindset. I told y'all I fell short. I'm like, man, I lost it today. like I'm like, that old person was full-fledged back today, and but I keep myself accountable to you guys too, right? And
Mhm.
coach myself through it. Like, all right, Keston, why did that happen? Assess it. Assess why did you go back there, and make changes. You know where your checkpoints, your breaking points are. And when you know where your breaking points are, you could do things to know, like, oh man, I'm getting to my breaking point. Like, do better this time. Don't respond the same way, and you start to just do things different. But without knowing where that breaking point is, you can't change. You gotta know and say, all right, I fell short here. The next time I'm gonna go a little bit further and a little bit further and a little bit further, and just continue to stack the wins, man. That's how you change.
that helps a
It
lot.
must be exciting. Like,
Did you see it?
yeah, like thinking about that. It's almost like figuring out how far you can go. It's like
Yeah,
curiosity within yourself, right? How far you can go down and how far you can go up, and how far you
yeah,
can go down and come back up.
exactly. That.
So,
Yep. Go ahead.
could you talk about that? Just like the ups and downs and how you judge yourself in those times, in both, in all times, I guess.
So I'm pretty hard on myself in terms of I'm hard on myself in terms of assessing why I did something. Like,
Mm.
why did you respond like that? What made you, why are you even thinking about this right now? Right? And I would assess that. For example, I don't I don't talk to my exes. I don't. I don't wish them happy birthday, happy new year, nothing. Nothing. Why? Because I don't know if you guys know the saying, memories don't live like people do. They will always remember you, right? And so in my mind, it's impossible for me to have a conversation with this person without a memory coming up, right? Like I'm wishing them happy birthday. Some thought of what happened on a birthday in the past or something, it has to come. It's impossible. Like it's gonna come. How many times do you want to walk through that door? So these are the conversations I have with myself, and I set my own ground rules, right? But I keep it real. A lot of people wouldn't do that, right? And so I set these very realistic principles or ground rules with myself, and then I hold myself to it, even when it's hard. I was off for social media for 2.5 years working on myself. I didn't want to get distracted by anything. Now that I'm here, anything that makes me feel like, if I feel like, oh, right, that we're men. So anything that gets me a little like, I'm unfollowing you straight up, right? This is why did I feel like that? Okay, I could give the I'm human answer. But the truth is, I need to check why my cup isn't all the way filled with my wife, because something may be missing. There might be some lack of something, right? So I still get rid of the thing in front of me, but now I'm going to ask my question, because if my cup was filled, my water bottle is filled, there's no more room for anything. But if it got this left, there's space for something else to come right here. So I want to be filled all the way. The only way to be filled is to be real with yourself and ask yourself, man, why am I filled? Why am I not feeling like, and it could be because there may not be a level of respect in the relationship at the moment. You might be feeling some kind of way. There was something you wanted to tell her that y'all got in a riffraff. If you're able to assess yourself on this level, you have the ability to deal with it and always be filled, regardless, and not go through this, I don't know why I did it, automatic life, because there's a reason for everything, man. Like there is a reason. And these are the ups and downs that I go through and assess myself on to deal with it so that the devil doesn't have a playground in my mind. Right? We could trick ourselves and fool ourselves and give ourselves different answers, but I'm gonna be real. Like, bro, why did you feel that? How do you get rid of that? And then I'll come and I'll have a conversation with my wife and say, babe, right now I'm just not feeling like there's a level of respect in the relationship. And how could we work on that? This is what happened. My wife thinks I complain too much, right? She thinks like how she puts it, she's like, yo, it's almost like you're the woman in the relationship and I'm the man. Like she's less emotional in that sense. But what I really do is I don't want any gray area in my life. I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna tell on myself. I'm gonna deal with it up front so that there's nothing within my mind to throw me off at all. So that's how I keep myself to that standard. I tell on myself. I get it out. I deal with it.
Do you think that comes from before you were in a gray area a lot, like maybe in the younger years? And you see where I came from?
1000%. Dude, I lived in the gray area. like I lived in a gray area. You know, I mean, lying was my superpower. You know, like manipulation, all of these things, they were my superpower. I was an extreme douchebag in being an ice cold box, and understanding and knowing that about myself and never wanting to go back there. This is how I avoid any of those gray areas. And so again, understand and know where you're at, to get to where you want to go,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it all follows the same formula of understanding and getting clear on who you are. What are these triggers? What are these things? Because when they happen, you know what to do to assess it and move on. Nothing is going to keep me back from getting to that goal, bro. You see what I'm saying? And so, yeah, just being able to do that continuously, copy and paste over and over, regardless of the aspect of life you're dealing with.
Yo, bro, I just want to say like how grateful I am that I met you and I could call you a friend, bro. Because, yo, you the way you just explaining yourself in the past, like manipulator, liar, bro. You know that was me, like 1,000%. And just recently, like I would honestly say, when I started going to the VO, that's when it changed. And I actually started to connect with you. Like I knew who you were, right? But not until I went to the virtual office and we started like having conversations and just having like real conversations, like that's when it really started to change. Like, yeah, when I came into sub two, I became a different person. But when I hit that VO and we started having these real one-on-one conversations, everything just changed, bro. Like I stopped being that. I still, like I said, I still have those little
Sure.
bits, right? But I'm not that person anymore. I just want to say thank you, bro, because that you really helped me a lot more than you would imagine, bro.
It's fire.
Thank you, bro. And I appreciate that, man. And I wouldn't be at this point without honoring this GPS system that I keep talking about, man, of assessing who I am and holding myself to that standard first before I could talk to anybody else. And a song that I used to play repeatedly on repeat is like being the change you want to see. And it's impossible for me to tell anybody else or give any type of advice if I hadn't done it myself first. And that's the commitment that I make to myself and to others, that I am not going to say a word out of my mouth that I haven't done myself. If I do, I'm going to say, hey, I haven't done this, but this is what I think. Right. And so when it comes to just rewriting myself to understand wealth and to law of attraction and all of these things, I did it first, and then I started talking about it, like going through a divorce and how I got through that, leaving my job, all of these really big life things, leaving my family, my son, all of these things has grown me, and I've learned from maybe something else that I've done in the past, and I'm just becoming more and more aware. And that's why like just saying yes to the call, because I didn't want to be who I'm looked at today as. It wasn't my intention for myself to be Keston on purpose, and some kind of mindset guy or whatever. Like it was never my intention, dude. My parents always told me that this is who I was, always. And I'm like, that's who you are. Don't tell me who I am. I'm not that person. You know what I mean? But just surrendering to the journey and the GPS, those turn by turn directions as to, dude, this is where I need you to go, and this is what I need you to do. Just being like, all right, man, cool. I'm gonna do it, and taking that inspired action to continue moving forward, bro. So
What's the hardest thing you're going through right now? And how do you see yourself getting through that?
The hardest thing that I'm going through right now is, I don't want to say continuation. Like, I guess it's like this reinvention of myself continuously. Like, it's a continuous reinvention. It's almost like I get used to doing this thing and I'm like, okay, I'm getting in a groove. Everybody like to feel this groove. Oh man, I feel settled right now. And I don't think that's my life. I don't think that's in my cards, man. It's this continuous, as soon as I got something, God wants me to do something else and something else and something else. And it's like being comfortable, being uncomfortable. that continuous growth that I actually love, because my wife tells me I'm miserable when I'm not growing. Like
Mhm.
it's almost like I come for her. And so that's why on my model a week, every day I have part of my words, my second words is knowledgeable, right? And so every day at 5 o'clock, I learn something new every day, because that keeps me motivated, that keeps me going, that keeps me inspired. Um, and that's the biggest problem, bro. It's that subconscious mind hasn't caught up with who I want to be yet. I haven't rewritten fully that, and so I still do battle with that. Like, dude, you who do you think you are, man? What are you doing? Like, but I'm strong enough now to go in the gym and be like, nah, dude, I'm this, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And fight back. And so I have these rituals that fight each other, and I continue to fight, man. So that's my constant biggest struggle right now. Biggest.
Bro, I figure you probably have to go soon. I know you big on time, but real quick, can you talk about flipping cancer and how people who are watching can be a part of that?
Woo wee. Dude. All right. So flipping cancer is we gotta go back. So flipping cancer was birthed because coming here, as like I said before, I came to Atlanta from New York because my wife's mom, she had leukemia. And man, she was one of my biggest supporters. Like, she encouraged the hell out of me. Like, dude, you're gonna be an amazing husband. You're gonna like, because she's seen the drive and my motivation to be able to provide for the family. And when we moved here to take care of her and be her caregivers, she passed 3 months after we moved here. And while she was alive, I said, Mom, I'm gonna buy buildings to be able to help cancer patients in situations like you're in. And she was gonna be a part of that in a big way. And didn't make it. Then going further, I kind of stepped away from the cause to some degree because it was really hard to get into. Nobody was trying to give up the sauce as to how to get into it and what's going on and how do you really, help these cancer patients out. But on that journey, we got like this teaching of how to fight cancer holistically using fruits and things from the ground. And 7 months later, my mom got lung cancer. And I remember telling her, like, hey, if anybody ever got cancer, I have something to fight it. Because I really believed in what we learned on the journey with my wife's mom. She just couldn't have the intake to be able to fight it back naturally. And so that saved my mother's life. And so now she's 95, almost maybe 98% of the way recovered from having lung cancer, not doing any chemotherapy, not doing anything. And so I was like, man, I remembered putting out, we did a GoFundMe because that joint is expensive. Buying fruits and veggies every single 3 days to juice it, and so it was time consuming. We was going back and forth. My sisters would do a shift. People from Trinidad came to do shifts of juicing and all of that. It was like the community really came together to be able to make this happen. And I started to think, man, this sucks. Like, I'm doing real estate and I'm doing a GoFundMe for my mom. Call it ego, call it something. I'm like, this, like, I was honestly ashamed to do it, but I'm like, man, we got to do what we got to do, right? And then clarity, God gave me this vision, like, hey, how about you use real estate to help people in the same situation like your mom? And I'm like, that's interesting, And so downloaded that, and so I started. I'm like, man, how could I do this. And I started to get a bigger vision of something that would be on TV or a network or something like that. And I'm like, well, people already like flips. Wholesale, nobody cares or knows what wholesaling is on a bigger scale, right? It's not sexy. You don't see a product. And so here goes this thing that people already like on HGTV with flips. And then I have a cause of what I could do with the profit from the flips. And so that's where flipping cancer was birthed, because we're flipping properties to help cancer patients just like my mom, and donating a percentage of the profits to these cancer patients that wants to fight cancer holistically, because it's so goddamn expensive. And so I joined up and teamed up with my brothers. So I teamed up with Don Rich and his partner, John, so that we could come together and take this to another level. And so we're still working on it. We're still, we actually have 2 flips going on right now. And we're going to start being loud on social media with that really soon. But it's something that requires content or something to be done that takes a little while to flip, and donate a portion of that. And so it has a little lead lag time to it. But as we get more flip going, we're going to just go crazy. And so I'm working with other foundations too, and partnering with foundations as well that already have cancer patients going through this process. And so we'll be also helping our family, like sub 2 members and stuff, with anyone that has cancer and wants to know more and all of that. But also working with these foundations here locally in Georgia, Florida, and Texas to help and support their foundations, help those people with going through cancer and just being able to provide, because that's one of the struggles right now, where it's just expensive to fight cancer holistically, bro. So
Well, bro,
that's a great idea.
Because I'm doing a flip right now, and I'm gonna donate a portion of that to.
Oh man,
love that,
bro.
Hell yeah! I think I might have one coming up tomorrow that I'm trying to get under contract. If I do, definitely percentages going there too. But dude, that's a crazy good idea. It's almost like, do you guys remember the show where they used to get a family that was going through something, maybe financially or something, or a death in the family or whatever.
Yeah.
And they would flip their house for them, and then they would pull back.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
It could be something along those lines. Is that what you're trying to do? Like bring a patient in, show them the whole renovations, and then take that profit and essentially heal them?
So it may not be exactly like that, but similar. How we do it may be different, right? And just from a visual telling the story type of thing, foundations, and so we do have a nonprofit, but foundations go broke or they go belly up because they don't have a revenue generating thing that they're doing. And so here I have this talent or this ability to do something in real estate, and here I have this cause for the life that I've been through with my mom and my wife's mom. And so it's like showing their story as to what they're doing, but how we're able to do it at the same time. So how it all comes together, bro, I wish I had like the perfect idea. We don't have that part ironed out to say how the storytelling is going to exactly happen. Just taking action and figuring it out as it comes and goes. And so we've done our first donation, which was to my mom. And so all of that is recorded, and like it's just a matter of time before we start releasing like all of these different patients that we've been able to help with our proceeds. And so that's been in the background, taking a lot of work, a lot of planning, a lot of red tape, legal stuff, because the paperwork is more challenging than, moving money from your LLC to your foundation and all that. And so just having the right lawyers so that we don't get the IRS knocking on our door in a few months is kind of a lot of the work as well. So, but we're about to change lives, millions of lives, man. And And I'm excited. And again, check it out. Let's tie this right back to the formula. Where you are currently. I took something that where I was based on what I've been through and my destination of wealth and what I want to create. How could I impact people is now tied to a purpose. If you don't assess where you're at and the things you're going through, you're just going to be doing other people's purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's always tied. 9 out of 10 times, it's always tied to something you've been through, experienced. And so, yeah, man, that's how I help people discover their purpose. Like, just dig in. But yeah, that's
Thank you, bro. This was so dope.
Life changing.
I hope you guys really, really got a lot of value from this. I know I did. I had the chills maybe like 5 times.
Dude, it's what I'm gonna leave you guys with this, because I remember when I bought my house, right? And it was really a nice house. It was close to people that know New York. I bought it right on the property line of the suburbs in Queens and Long Island. So it was like perfect. Like, it had a pool and really good amenities. And so I remember, like, maybe a few weeks in, I was taking my son to go to the pool, you know, and we bought like the floaties, we bought everything ready to have a great time, right? And we get to the front of the line and excited seeing people going in, and got to the front of the line and gave the guy my ID. And he was like, "I'm sorry, you can't get in." And I'm like, well, "What do you mean?" He's like, "No, you don't live in this county. This county is only for people, this pool is only for people that live in this county." And I'm like, "Dude, I live 5 minutes away. How do you mean I don't live in, like, I'm right there. I could literally walk here." He's like, "Yeah, no, like, if your house was 1 street over, then you'd be able to get in." And so my son couldn't get into the schools that I really wanted him to get to, that he could have walked to, the pools, all of that he couldn't enjoy because I wasn't 1 street across.
Wow.
And what that taught me was, had I hired an expert to help me and give them my goals as to what I want to accomplish, because what I really wanted to accomplish was a better life for my son, but I tried to do it alone. And it ended up costing me years and of him not being able to enjoy something that could have been for free, because a realtor, and I know we crush realtors a lot, but a realtor would have been able to tell me, what are my goals? What are you wanting to do? Hey, Keston, I know you like that house, but he wouldn't be able to go to these schools, Keston, right? Had I hired an expert. And it's the same thing for trying to get to your goals. Being able to hire somebody, hire a coach, hire a mentor, hire somebody to help you get there, to help you not waste time trying to figure it out on your own, is so vital, so vital. And so I want to encourage people to actually do that, because it's going to help you get to another level much faster. It's what worked for me. And I know it's something that could work for anyone that's listening.
So you just rolled out a coaching program, correct?
Yes.
Something along those lines?
Yes.
What is there an extensive, I don't want to say hiring, but onboarding process? You don't just onboard anybody?
So I wouldn't say it's an extensive onboarding process. It's, let me see if you're serious onboarding process, right?
Yeah.
Like, let me see if we're a good fit, if you're ready. Because, bro, I'm hardcore. I'm on the wholesale, like, hard knocks, right? I'm hardcore. I'm not a surface level kind of guy. And if you're not ready to grow, I don't want to work with you. And I always give this analogy. If you're in park, I cannot help you. It's a car. Your car isn't parked. I can't help you. If you're in neutral, I may be able to push you and the car could roll. If you're in drive, you're rolling and you're rolling slow, I could definitely help steer where to go. But if you're in park, man, there's absolutely no way I could help. And so I do go through, I call it Purpose to Prosperity call, where we just kind of go through this. Where are you? Ask some questions and see if you're serious and if you're ready. And I get the question all the time, Keston, is this something, could you help me discover my purpose? And the answer is yes. At this point, I've been able to help dozens and dozens of people and help them on the right track to discovering their purpose and getting that level of clarity to be like, oh crap, I'm doing the wrong thing. I've had a few people quit their jobs. I'm like, let's go, but not because I told them to, because they realized that they were on the wrong track. They were on the wrong road. And so, yeah,
well,
man.
I know there's somebody that was listening to this maybe live or is going to listen to it in the future that just a light bulb went off in their head and they was like, yo, I need this guy. Something he said or multiple things he said is telling me I need to go connect with him. So guys, if that's the case, please go at least date Keston for the least. Go date him on Instagram. Or do you have YouTube?
Coming soon. I'm going to be putting out a lot of those things on YouTube. So yeah, man, hit me up on Instagram, Kes on Purpose. That's the easiest way to get to me. And I answer DMs at a certain time. So don't feel bad if I don't respond immediately, forewarning. But once you're in, and right now I'm at capacity. I'm at capacity with my group coaching session, with my one-on-one sessions, because I'm still a real estate investor. And so that's the thing. I don't coach full-time, but I know that is my purpose, and I will phase out of, I can't say I'll ever phase out of real estate because I'm gonna need more cash flow, right? But I'll be doing way more coaching and speaking and things like that. So yeah, bro, thanks for asking that.
Make sure y'all follow this man. Like, I'm not asking you to follow, I'm telling you, if you are serious about changing your life, follow Keston right now. I know I signed up for the coaching program and I'm excited to start. So make sure, if y'all are super serious about changing your life and moving on to your next journey and just getting to your destination, follow this man, send him a DM, book a consultation call. You wasting time if you're not. Yes. I appreciate you, bro.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me. And I'll leave you with this last tip. Success is how you get influence. You got to be successful to be influential. And you only need to be successful in one area of your life to be influential in all the others. Think about LeBron James. He's successful in basketball, but he's doing a crap ton of other things in other areas of life right now because he was successful in one thing. And if you could think about that and you get locked in to that one thing for you to become successful in, you and your purpose and what you would actually want to do would skyrocket. Super easy. I hope that was helpful for someone.
That was, but really quick before we let you go, just to touch on that. Essentially, it's like people will say, and I love Gary Vee, but like he'll be like, just go quit your job and go do something that you love, right? But if that thing that you love isn't going to get you results quick, maybe like, I don't love wholesaling, but I know it is going to get me to my purpose. So I'm going to wholesale, because then once I accomplish and hit milestones, I'm going to be able to hit my purpose, right? So what would you touch on that with people out there saying, hey, you should just go focus on what you like solely, focus on your purpose solely, would you direct them in a different way, or?
I would say do both.
Okay.
And this is just for where I am, right? And trying to appeal to multiple people all at the same time. I'll say do both, because when you're successful in one thing, I decided and I chose to become successful in real estate. That was a choice. I used to be a DJ. I used to be a cybersecurity engineer. All of these things I could have chosen. And I was successful in those things, but I chose to be successful in real estate. And when I got the success, then I was able to now be influential in other areas that is really my passion. And I'm not waiting to hit $1 billion in real estate. I'm not waiting to be this guru of something. I'm helping people now. And I've been helping people for the last year and change, right? So ever since I joined Sub 2. And so it's, who could you help now? How could you harness your ability and your purpose now? Because if you were a 10th grader, could you help a 9th grader? Right? If you were a junior, could you help a sophomore? Could you help a freshman? You can. And so you are able to give within your purpose now. So just start now. And as your influence and your success grows, your influence grows as well.
Yeah. So essentially, your vehicle doesn't need to be your passion, but it's going to be driven towards your purpose.
1000%.
I love it.
My wife used to say, man, but you love real estate. I'm like, I think I know real estate is the vehicle that could get us wealth. But was I coming out of my crib talking about, Daddy, I want to be a real estate investor? No, it was something I decided in 2020. That was a decision of something that I chose. I'm more passionate about music than I am about real estate. Right? But I chose real estate and to become successful in, and does it matter? It don't. And I'm proving that right now. You become successful at anything, your influence is going to be about something else or anything else. Right? I'm on here because of what I've been able to accomplish and how I've been able to help in something totally different. We barely spoke about real estate on here.
Literally.
I've done some crazy cool deals, creative as hell.
Yep.
But we didn't even touch on that. Why? Because my influence is in something else. So think about that.
We're gonna have to bring you back on to talk about real estate. Because you have done a lot of crazy cool deals, and it is mind blowing. So we definitely got to bring you back on to talk about real estate, bro.
Yeah, bro, I'm down. Just let me know. You're the plug, Daryl. You're in. You know, we family. And Mike, I appreciate you guys too. And we connected on some stuff before, but man, doing this makes me feel purposeful and makes me know like I'm on the right track just from an intrinsic thing. Man, I feel like every time I'm about to exit, I have a thought that is like,
keep it coming, bro.
There you go, bro.
Here's a thought, right? I heard something yesterday on a podcast, and the guy, I'm like, not my style, but he said something that I took, and I'm like, I need to think about that. He said, success is an emotion. It's a feeling of something you set out to accomplish.
Yep.
It's a feeling of something set out to accomplish, right? So you accomplish this thing, but it's an emotion, it's a feeling. Why did he say that? He said it because he was talking to this person who did a real estate deal that made a $10 million, right? He made $10 million one swoop. And the question was, man, how do you feel? He's like, man, yeah, I'm successful. I feel great. He's like, but in a day or two, I'm going back to work just like nothing happened. And that really made me think, bro. For the first time, I like just thinking about this, what people run down for success. And I have accomplished some pretty cool things, but here I am, I keep going. And it's like, if success is a feeling, why can't you feel that now?
Yeah.
Why can't you internally know and feel that success? And this goes into an entirely can of worms with the law of attraction and all of that, right? Like, but when you have that feeling of success, you walk a certain way, you talk a certain way, but it's a feeling. Why can't you feel it now?
We were talking about that. We were actually talking about that last week when we had Marlon on. Shout out to Mindset Marlon. And we were talking about like chasing that feeling, right? You're not actually chasing the money. You're chasing how that money makes you feel. So if you can,
1,000%.
exactly. So if you can visualize and feel how you feel when you already have that money, or he was talking about going back to a time where you won, right? He was talking about this in mindset, morning mindset, right? Going back to a time where you were successful and just feeling that, right? And then replicating that feeling and just going through your day with that feeling all the time.
That's it.
That's a secret. It's a secret, bro.
That's the secret.
Yeah.
And it's hands down this year one of the things that propelled me like crazy. And I just feel like everywhere that I go, I'm just attracted to this level of people that is like, man, this dude makes 150 million a year and we're friends. This is cool. You know what I mean? like, man, this is dope. You know, and it just keeps happening over and over and over. And when I walk into a place, I hear this more oftentimes than not now. You said it when I got on here, Mike. Dude, as soon as you got on here, everything just feels like energetic or the vibes changed. And I carry that with me now. I'm able to replicate that feeling. I visualize this podcast today. I already seen the feeling and the emotions that I wanted to leave. I knew it ahead of time because I'm purposeful. I visualize my day.
Yep.
Right. And it's that feeling that I experience ahead of time and I'm able to put it out there to people. And many people talk about they can't visualize. Like, oh man, I can't visualize. Visualizing is hard. No, it's not. You've just visualized negative things. You don't even know that's what you're doing. Think about it. To anyone that's listening, you know when you're about to go home and have an argument with whoever, you already coming up with responses in your mind as to when she says this, I'm going to say that, and this is how it's going to go. You go home with that feeling, and that's visualizing. You just visualize the entire argument as to how it's going to go. Instead, visualize a different outcome. Visualize, hey, this is the outcome that I want. I don't want to argue and fight with my wife. I don't want to fight with my coworker or this worker. I know I got to fire somebody today and they're going to probably hate me. Man, hold on. How could I do this in a way that they see that I really care about them and I leave the best for them? And when you start visualizing something different, your outcomes are different. But it takes preparation and anticipation. And if you don't anticipate, this is why planning your days are so important. When you know what's coming and you're able to anticipate, hey, I got a tough conversation to have with my VA, with my wife, with my spouse, with my sister, and you visualize the right outcome that you want, you go in smiling. You're like, man, I'm so sorry I gotta let you off today, but like, how could I help you? What could I do for you based on where you are right now?
Yeah.
We may not be a good fit. I think you're a great person, but instead of going in there like, yeah, so and just having a totally different thought process. So everyone could visualize. You just do it on negative things on automatic that you don't even know that you're doing it. 1000%.
So good.
This is such a powerful conversation, bro. This is so good. Yo, let's bro, if you guys aren't following Keston, make sure y'all follow him right now. We had about like I think we probably had about like 50 people tune in today. If you don't have 50 followers, then I'm gonna be upset. I'm gonna feel some type of way. So, yo, Keston, I appreciate you, brother, like always.
Thank you, man.
Yo,
Thank you guys
Thank
for
you,
having
bro.
me. Yeah, Mike
So
and
dope.
Daryl. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Remain consistent. Continue to work and coach yourselves. Continue to do what you're doing and create this impact that you guys are doing right now. And Daryl, bro, to see where you've come from to who you are today, bro. I always tell you, man, and especially because I've seen you in that as that other person.
yeah.
I'm super proud of you, bro. Honestly, like from the heart. Like I appreciate the work you're doing on you simply because you've realized so much how important it is and how it keeps you back and you're willing to deal with it. And I appreciate you for doing that because now you're going out and impacting lives. And Mike, bro, like I've heard the conversations that we've been having on morning mindset and what you go through too, and you keep yourself accountable to the group. And what you guys are doing with providing this value to the world, continue to go, man. Continue to go. I appreciate you guys for having me.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you. Yo, so that's it, man, for Wholesale Hard Knocks episode 9. Yo, if y'all not following the Mike Gomes, Kess on Purpose, or me on Instagram, all social medias, make sure you do that right now. Make sure y'all are subscribing to our YouTubes. When Keston gets his YouTube, make sure y'all subscribe to him too. Like this video for us, and we'll be back next week, same time,
Let's
Saturday.
go.
We out.
Let's go, y'all.